streets that the village owns. I mean, there was some concern that this is for everybody. This is not. This is strictly for streets that we own. And the question is, culverts are owned by the residents in the right-of-way.
Right.
So I mean, just, okay. That,
So I guess, first of all, just on background, I hope that nobody just opened up my email and printed it. I realized there was 40 pages attached to that whole thing. I hope I didn't burn out anybody's printer with that. It wasn't my intention. At the last meeting, I brought forward a recommendation for the village to participate in the costs for replacement of deficient private driveway culverts on village-maintained streets. Just on brief background, we have a number of perennial locations that, again, don't rise to the level of the one that we replaced over on Wigan Road last year, but nonetheless constitute significant local nuisances, where we have tried to simply alert the homeowner that their culvert is deficient and needs to be replaced or reset or otherwise dealt with. We've been met with generally at most indifference, if not outright dissatisfaction at the suggestion that they just reach into their pocket and replace this culvert. So in the interest of the larger goal being to come up with a policy or a program where we can start to get at least some of these truly dilapidated culverts replaced, I suggested that the village would participate in those costs in what seemed to be the most straightforward way of making sure that the work got done properly, but still having the property owner involved in some of the expense, was that the village would coordinate and pay for the actual replacement of the culvert pipe itself. The homeowners would then be responsible for restoring their driveway aprons. At the last meeting, there was a request by the board that we come back with a more quantitative approach to assessing the culverts so that we can have a better ability to prioritize and determine which culverts the village would participate in replacing or repairing. And also, and that's in the recommendation letter that I sent to the board, along with the suggestion that another one of the concerns was just how does the village cap its, or control its exposure on this policy, knowing that there are 300 plus driveway culverts in village rights of way. So my suggestion in that regard was to simply set an annual budget that the village would set forth for this sort of work each year. We would then, so I suggested a $20,000 annual budget, given that each culvert is perhaps $3,500 to $4,000. That would mean something on the order of 5 locations a year. I think over not too many years, we would probably knock out the real outliers here, the problem culverts, if you weren't. Perhaps then we could look at dialing that number back if we feel that it's been effective. But again, that number's flexible. It would be whatever the board is comfortable with. And then finally, I'm recommending that we give some consideration to an ordinance amendment that would allow us, in those circumstances where we recognize that the culvert is deficient, and even though the village is willing to pay for the pipe cost, the homeowner doesn't want to participate in the driveway cost, but we still want to get the work done, just to give us the mechanism there to go ahead and do the work and then bill back the owner or lien the property or whatever we need to do for that remaining cost of the driveway replacement, but just to get it done. So again, the goal here is, and I think I discussed this last time, Russell gets the same calls. Every spring we get calls from some of the same neighborhoods saying, look, I've called you every year for 3 years and telling you my neighbor's driveway culvert is flooding my front yard every year, and nothing gets done about it. And again, our experience is if we simply try to put the arm on the owner himself, it just drags on interminably. Certainly, the board has the option, if we want to tighten up our ordinances or even our policies, just to make that, that could be the policy, I suppose, that we simply come up with an ordinance that sets that we'll put all the cost on the homeowners. I'm just trying to come up with something that's effective, not an enormous cost for the village, and try to take some of the sting out for the homeowner as well. A lot of these people, those culverts have been in the ground for 25 years, they've been in the house for 10, it's hard to knock on their door and tell them that they ought to pony up for a $4,000 culvert replacement as well. So, with that, hopefully everybody's had a chance to take a look at what I recommended there. I'm sure you have some.
How many bad culverts do you think we have?
I could go out and replace, I'd say probably 20% of them all day are somehow deficient. Got the wrong invert, the ends are crimped, they're starting to rust. There's probably 24 that really are significant.
That's the question he wants.
Right. And we haven't gone out and done a full survey of all of them, but I'd put it on the order of a couple dozen that are really having a significant impact on their property or their neighbor's property.
And is there anything that can be done to a culvert short of replacing it?
Sure. I mean, if it's just simply that the end is crimped shut, you can actually put a car jack in there and just crank it back open. So, I mean, they don't all have to be replaced. If the bulk of the culvert is in good shape and it just needs some attention on the ends, or you can cut off the bent end, you can extend it. So there are, intermediate repairs that can be made. They can be lined even, but
Pat, do you have any idea as to how much of our culvert problem is due to a lack of maintenance, i.e. flushing through in order to increase the water flow by the resident?
Historically, I've always adopted a position that, clearly, the maintenance of the ditches themselves is on the village. It's part of the village street, it's part of the village drainage system. I've extended that to say, look, even the debris that's in the pipe that got washed out of the ditch really would be on the village. So we will, as part of the village work, come through and do ditching and culvert clearing. How much of the problem? Significant. A lot of these ditches, especially these flatter ditches, over the years, the sediment settles out and the ditch rises up. And we certainly can do a better job of ditching and maintaining that as well.
We haven't even started that.
We don't have a wholesale just ditching program. We usually put it in as part of one of our road projects like we're doing over on Saunders. But we don't have a standalone ditch maintenance program.
It's something we should consider, I think.
Northbrook, many years ago, when I was on the culvert ditches job, Northbrook has a truck with a huge flush valve that we used to borrow through Mark Lovis occasionally to flush out the long culvert, the runs we have, like over in Indian Trails. There's one there that constantly blocks up.
Yeah, that's the one actually we just replaced as well. Certainly, we can, and
Can we rent that from Northbrook is what I'm asking.
oh,
Or make arrangements with them, or there's a guy up in Round Lake that has a unit that he
yeah,
used to rent out.
we certainly can find a private firm that'll do that. We've got a good relationship with Northbrook, but I don't know, I know that my relationship with them doesn't go as far as loaning us equipment, but
I
we
think
can.
they rented to you.
We could talk with Mark, I know Mark well enough, I'll give Mark a call and see if there's a
What
possibility.
does it do? Just pressure?
Yeah, it's just
It's a jet rotor,
It's a high pressure
high
job,
pressure system.
and it
Just
flushes
flushes
the
water
water
through.
right. Ideally, what you have
Maybe
is,
the fire department in there. High pressure hose?
it's actually, they're more of a high volume. It's more concentrated flow, and it's got a little wand on there that can actually get well inside. And then ideally, you have a vacuum truck on the other side to suck up all this garbage, so you're not just sending it down to the next guy.
Because it goes out, sits in the ditch line, the next rainfall is gonna plug up the next culvert, so if you don't.
Fire guys, they're not so much on the clean.
Maybe they should buy that for people to get the money.
So Pat, why did you choose 20,000?
It was what struck me as a round and reasonable number.
Arbitrary.
Arbitrary, in other words?
Pretty much.
I mean,
What are you talking about as